from,
Oh.
we will take the videos from the sessions from Zoom, cut it up, and then we just post them to YouTube. So I will find out where the videos are and do that. And then I will send an email. I'll do it through a constant contact and just send an email out to everyone saying that, hey, this is where you can find it.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Because
Okay.
I
Sorry,
spent a lot of time on YouTube. I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
sorry, the recording was on when I signed in and I turned it, I paused it and forgot to turn it back on, so I just turned it on.
Ah.
Wish I had one of those for work. Then I wouldn't need to say it.
All right. Are there any other new business or old business? Any officers' reports? Okay, one other thing, we were talking about the July 30th meeting, that we would have a debate and for us to bring some ideas. So if we can have some ideas on the 25th, so we can get that on the calendar.
Okay. A nice controversial topic will do.
Yeah. And then we'll have our officers meeting for on July or June 25th. So don't forget, officers meeting. All right. On that note, I would like to introduce the Toastmaster, and that is me. It looks like Lori is not here.
Aren't you going to introduce yourself as Toastmaster of the Year, or, go ahead and boast about yourself a little bit.
Should I do my introduction today? I would like to introduce Jennifer Smith, who is our District 115 Public Relations Manager, and she is Toastmaster of the Year for the district for the year 2020-2021. Let's welcome Jennifer Smith.
Yay.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It looks like
I sent Lori a text.
okay, yeah, I was just looking at the text messages to see if she responded, and she has not. So that means that we will need a timer and a word grammarian. Etta, could you do
She's trying to get connected.
Oh, is she?
Oh.
Okay. Well, let's see. We can skip that part. Oh, I'm the Minute Master.
You got plenty of minutes.
I should have read my roles. That's one of the things that when we have such a small group of people. So this is, I guess I'll take it for an educational moment versus Minute Master. One of the things when I sent out the notice for the meeting, I didn't realize I actually took that as a, how did I do it? I took it off of the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet, not realizing that the meetings are on our website or the roles are on our website. So for those of you who will be a Toastmaster, instead of going to the spreadsheet, George, our amazing treasurer, secretary, aficionado of Free Toast Host, our website, goes in and he plugs in the roles as soon as Lori sends out. And now Cynthia, next month we'll send out the schedule and the roles that are filled. So all we have to do is just check the roles and say, hey, these are who it is, instead of off of the spreadsheet, because everybody has maybe changed from that day, who's coming, who's not going, so it's best to use the website versus the spreadsheet. So for those of you who did not know that, like me, 2 years now going, I didn't know that.
And Lori will be doing the July schedule because she's still in office. Then
Correct.
Cynthia will take over for August.
Correct.
Question on that. So I know, so for next week, I'm Toastmaster. The people are listed. I've seen on the website, we're all listed there. So as far as the roles for like today, George's table topics, you're saying that's already there?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. It's wonderful for the Toastmaster. You just print it out.
And then you
Oh
can,
my goodness, I'm not the only one that didn't know that.
and you can actually email that meeting agenda to all of us
Yeah.
right from the website.
And it's really good for tracking things for educational purposes, you know, awards and things. You know what somebody did. And for me today, I didn't really want to do my speech, didn't feel like I was totally ready, but I put it in there, so I better get on it.
I know. Tell everybody that you're committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
And
how that feels. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'll if I bump into whatever problems, George, I'll reach out to you for help.
Okay.
yeah, so I wasn't the only one that did not know that. So I'm glad.
The nice thing that I realized, because I'm in Bon Appetit and we're having a meeting tonight, Lori's speaking, is that you can not only put in your speech in the path, but you can also put in a introduction.
Mhm.
And there's a place right there on the website where you can actually print that introduction.
I saw that. I saw that
So-
there this morning.
Yeah,
and that was-
it's
That's a
pretty
pretty
slick.
cool thing.
Yeah.
It's always a learning experience. That's why we're here. We're always learning something new. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning. Sorry, everybody.
All right, well, I'm so glad that we
You're here.
actually went over that. So that was my educational moment of our meeting. And then if we have any questions, we can always go back to George and just remind, I would probably then remind, Lori, do you need 2 cameras? I would remind the next Toastmaster as well, just because maybe it's just
No.
something.
You're joining a second time, Lori.
Oh, I did that too by accident.
I'm having all kinds of connection problems and it's jerky where I connected through the browser because I couldn't get connected through the computer. So let me know if you can't hear me or I'm frozen and I will reconnect through the computer.
Okay, all right. Are you ready to be the word grammarian this morning?
I am. Would you remind me what my theme is? Because I'm not sure if my word applies. It's been a tough week.
National Splurging Day.
National what?
National
Splurge.
Splurge Day. Oh,
Oh,
I was going to explain why I chose that day.
see.
That'll give Lori a minute.
Oh, please go ahead and do that first.
Yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
As today is National Splurge Day, you guys. I couldn't think of a theme, so I went to the National Day of whatever. And so today is National Splurge Day. The history of National Splurge Day. Trade and commerce probably existed as far back as, I'm going to put this right here, as far back as man's existence goes, says historians. People began with a barter system, exchanging cattle and livestock. This changed to money years later as currency developed around the world. America's history with shopping and spending has also seen drastic changes. Pioneers began the trend of shopping locally and would visit the general stores around them. By the 18th and 19th centuries, mom and pop stores were plenty throughout the US. These were followed by great department stores decades later. As America's business and economic sectors changed dramatically in the 20th century, agriculture was replaced with manufacturing and industry. This change saw employment opportunities increase, which put money in the hands of people. Naturally, more money meant people were able to spend more. Newly wealthy customers launched department stores into the stratosphere. These places sold more than items, they sold a way of life. The second half of the 19th century also brought a new type of shopping experience, the malls. While the concept of people visiting multiple vendors in a common place had been around a long time, ancient Greeks developed a one place for all goods type marketplace called the agoras. The initial mall, as we came to know them, developed in this age. The rise of the malls were spurred by the rise of automobile industries too. The more cars people could buy, the easier they could travel to these malls. The turning point in shopping history came with the rise of e-commerce. As an access to the internet grew, so did people making purchases online. The e-commerce trend was soon followed by sales on social media. Multiple brands can now sell their products directly to channels like Facebook and Instagram. More than 20 years ago, Chicago native Adrienne Sue Coppersmith decided that she was fed up with traditional holidays, calling herself America's premier eventologist. Because she found it more than 1,900 different holidays, she came up with the idea for a lavish, one-of-a-kind holiday called National Splurge Day that we have been celebrating ever since. That was funny. I didn't even read the story. But if you go on here, I'm going to put this in, and then they have a little timeline of the National Splurge Day. So there you go. George, did you have a comment?
That was an interesting information thing that I heard the other night on one of the news programs about Amazon and about how big they're getting, and that they are on pace to become the largest and most profitable company in the world. The only problem that they have is they have over 150% turnover rate in their employees. And so there's speculation that they're going to run out of people to hire. I guess it's not the best place to work based on some of the information they said. Their hourly employees are they have goals and stuff, and if they don't meet those goals, they're fired immediately. So they go through employees like water. I thought it was very interesting.
This
They're
is
making
Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. But Bezos is going to go to space now because he doesn't know what to do with all his money.
My son has a friend that works at Amazon, and yeah, he's working 12 hours a day. He's 20 years old, and he hates it. He really does hate it. So,
They give us Amazon gift certificates. We have like a spin after you do so many sales. And so yesterday I won one for $75. So I'm very loyal Amazon shopper.
Well, and I think the pandemic is also led to all of that. I mean, we talked about the existence of malls. They may all go away because people are buying a lot of stuff online and not going out to shop in the malls. I think they're all hurting. All the businesses are hurting that have a brick and mortar.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something that I learned last week about restaurants. So we had an economist come in and talk about the, prediction of the next year. And one of the things he said about restaurants, 40% of the restaurants that we see right now will probably be out of business in the next 6 months.
Whoa.
40%. Right?
Wow.
Well, and look at all the ones that went out of business because of the pandemic and will never come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the whole retail industry is going to change dramatically.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, that was my little Toastmasters splurge of the day. If I was to splurge, I would go shopping. It would be my big thing. And I would go to the mall because I am a traditionist, even though if I need something immediately, I'll just, before I forget, I will shop on Amazon really quick. Like, oh, let me go do this. You can get your vitamins. You can get it automatically shipped. It's just easy to do that. But if I'm going clothes shopping or shoe shopping, I am in the mall grabbing my stuff, trying it on, because I cannot shop online for clothes. There's
Yeah,
no
people
way.
do that. I don't know how they do
I
that
don't know
because
how they do it.
sizes are all different, even though it says large, they're not
Right.
all large,
Yeah.
Those are Chinese sizes.
right?
So it's definitely, it has to be, I have to be at the mall. So today our word master, grammarian, counter is Lori Leonard, and she said, I would splurge on a vacation for my parents and me. So let's welcome Lori.
Thank you. And thank you for that long lead in because it allowed me to change my word of the day. I am in too many clubs on Friday with Bon Appetit tonight, and I mixed up my themes. I had the wrong word today. I had George's theme. So thank you very much for changing that. Our word of the day today is impulsive, which goes right along with your wonderful theme. It is an adjective. And it means doing things or tending to do things suddenly and without careful thought, or done suddenly and without planning. An example sentence would be, she made an impulsive buy at the mall. I could say Jennifer made an impulsive buy at the mall, but I didn't. Yes, I did. Oops. Please try and use the word impulsive when you have the opportunity to speak. I will report back during the evaluation portion of the meeting. I am also your timer, and I will be timing your times. You'll see the green card when you have met the minimum time to qualify, the yellow card when you're about halfway through your timing requirements, and the red card when it is time to wrap up and you have 30 seconds left. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lori. Remember, you guys, to use the word impulsive when you are talking and in your table topic. Our next presenter, our next role is table topic. And try to be impulsive with your stories. And let's welcome George Prinz.
You're not going to tell him what I said I'd splurge on?
Oh, yes. See, I'm so halfway asleep. Sorry about that, guys. I love that our meeting is moving right along and that we are having so much fun today. So, George said, hey, I printed it. Hold on. Where did it go? George.
Let's fire her.
I'm really bad sometimes.
Remedial training, for God's sake.
Oh, okay.
You know we love you, Jennifer.
I know. Well, you know what happened? I told you about my my Gmail, right? Because if we're corresponding on the same subject, then it gets embedded. So if I'm printing, I print the last one or the first one, and it doesn't print what's in the middle. So
Yada,
anyway.
yada.
Table topics and GE, so much pressure. I love chocolate, anything chocolate. I love seeds, candy, and only buy it at Christmas time. The box doesn't last very long. Welcome, George Lund.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And dark chocolate's my favorite. I'll eat milk chocolate if I have to, but dark chocolate's my favorite. So what's one thing you would splurge on if money was not an object, and why? Etta?
There are a lot of impulse items I would splurge on if money were no object. I am not impulsive by nature, but I do enjoy traveling. I would go to different countries that I have an interest in Japan, Spain, Greece. I would also join a number of Toastmasters clubs. I've been traveling online to various Toastmasters clubs. I would join maybe 2 or 3 to become my favorites, including this one. I enjoy the people here. As for other things such as clothes, I'm not really a shopper or a splurger, but travel interests me. As for unusual things, I would say all things cat related. Thank you.
Thank you, Etta. Thank you. So, in tabletop, you don't want to be very impulsive because you want to be able to think on your feet. And so impulsive behavior is not recommended here at Table Topics. So what is one thing you wish you had never splurged on and why? Lori?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, the one thing I wish I had not splurged on was an impulsive buy, and it was actually something that many of you who have known me for a while perhaps could relate to. It's a while back, and it had to do with a thorn in my side who just kept bugging me, and it just wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop, egging me on. We need this. We need this. Well, we didn't need this. We really didn't. So for me, it was an impulsive buy. For him, it was something he just wanted. And that was a new car. We really didn't need it, but he wanted it. So he ended up getting it, and it just created another payment every month. Mr. Topics Master.
Thanks, Lori. Last question. Would you rather splurge on a Christmas present or a Valentine's present, and why? Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, I would splurge on Christmas all day long. I love shopping at the mall, doing my impulsiveness of picking this out, picking that out. This would look good on my sister. This would look good on my dad. Oh, look at this gadget. My husband would love it. Oh, look at this trinket. My assistant would love it. Oh my goodness, all of my fellow Toastmasters, here's a pad, here's a mic, here's a recorder. I would be like, Oprah, everybody gets it. I love Christmas, and I would do that all day long. Valentine's Day, it's just maybe for 1 or 2 people, but Christmas could be for everybody. So I would do Christmas. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jennifer. Can we have a timers report, Lori?
Mr. Topics Master, Etta spoke about traveling to Europe if money were no object for 1 minute, 26 seconds and other things. I spoke about an impulsive car buy for 49 seconds, and Jennifer spoke about her splurging for Christmas gifts for 1 minute exactly, all qualified.
Who do we send the votes to?
You can send them to me.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Timer. That's the conclusion of the topic, so I'll return control to our Toastmaster, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Today we have the battle of the speakers and evaluator. Our first speaker is Peggy Prinz, and her evaluator is Maria Martinez Riach. Before I have Maria tell us about Peggy's objectives, she says, I can't think of many things I would splurge on, but traveling for a month, playing golf almost every day in different courses would be appealing. Let's welcome Maria Martinez Riach.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Before I tell you about Peggy, I wanted on record that I will be expecting a Christmas gift from you. All of us will actually. Yeah, 6 months to planning. All right, Peggy, today. Peggy is speaking from the presentation mastery. That's the path. Presentation mastery is a level 4 elective. Creating a podcast is her elective. Her objectives are for the member to be introduced to the skills needed to organize and present a podcast. And the purpose of this project is to introduce his or her podcast and to present a segment of the podcast. The timing is 2 to 3 minutes for the introduction and 5 to 10 minutes for presenting the actual segment of the podcast. The title of her speech is Tired and Retired.
Thank you, Maria, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, and of course, all of those baby boomers out there, people who are finally getting to that magic age, those golden years. Will you be ready? Nobody thinks about that when they're younger, as far as what you're going to need for retirement. Come on, you're working and you go spend your money, you have fun. Who cares about that 401k? And they probably think Social Security is not going to be there when they finally get old. Well, at the rate we're going right now, Social Security, they put some pressure on it, but I have faith that the system will still be there to support like my son and other people, but you can't really count on that as your total source of income. And the thing to remember is a quote that I had noticed. It was, it's your mind. What are you going to need the most? Your physical body, your finances. But when you think about it, it's your mind that controls it all, because your thoughts create your habits, both physical and financial, and your habits create your destiny. So as far as me splurging on ice cream, I'm in total hypocrite as far as what I'm going to need for my retirement. I'm probably going to end up with diabetes if I don't quit eating those buckets of ice cream that I've been splurging on lately. It's an important thing to think about, because I deal with it every day. And as far as this podcast, it is something I'm going to put on YouTube and have people on there to explain what their retirement scenario has been. So for the purposes of this speech today, I'll briefly highlight the immediate members of my family. I have 3 older siblings, one who has passed. And of course, I look to them as what I would do for retirement. We start to follow Dad's advice. You get a corporate job and you work there your whole life. They take care of you and then you retire. Well, it hasn't quite worked out like that. What has happened, I remember when I turned 18, my brother Jerry said, boy, look at us. Here we are. Dad worked for himself his whole life. My brother worked for Burlington Northern. The other brother worked for Mountain Bell. My sister worked for Horner Waldorf, and I worked for McDonald's Corporation. So we were all in those corporate jobs. But how does that work out as far as your long-term needs for finances, your health and everything else, maybe not so perfect. We'll take a look at these three cases of my older brothers here, older brothers and my sister. So I do need to introduce this podcast as Tired and Retired. It will be posted on YouTube, and I think it is something that I'm going to continue to do because I run into so much of it at work, and a lot of people are not prepared. So for the project, this will conclude my introduction, and the actual podcast will be an introduction of guests. Now, as far as me as the host and hosting to people, one of the people is no longer living, so I have to speak for my brother Jerry, who worked as a rock and roll singer. He always had great jobs. He had worked for the railroad, which has a great retirement system. And from there, he worked for the United States Forest Service. But he was injured in a work-related accident, became disabled, early retirement, seemed to have the best insurance in the world. But what happened with my brother Jerry? He broke his neck for the second time. The first time was on the job with a grizzly bear attack, and he lived through that. And then he has the best insurance in the world, but what does he die from? A hospital-acquired infection. His great insurance is the very thing that killed him. Stunning. He didn't need long-term care. He said he would rather die than go there. And long-term care is an issue in this country right now. Whether you're ready or not, you really ought to be, because nobody's insurance pays for long-term care, not even a federal employee that's retired. My other brother worked for, he started right out age 17 and enrolled in the United States Marine Corps. That ended up being a really good move and a bad move. From there, he got married. Then he worked for Mountain Bell for a good 10 years. He'd worked side jobs in construction, but substantial real estate investments. The only problem with my oldest brother is he got a divorce after 39 years of marriage. So those substantial real estates, and then he kind of lost his mind with the stress of the divorce. So his daughter took over as guardian for him, and he's in pretty good shape. He lives in a nursing home, and she's reinvested the properties to get him some sort of retirement, but he's always giving me a lecture. My other brother is saying, Peg, you don't have those real estate investments. You have to keep working to keep contributing to Social Security. I didn't like that idea, but he's right. So at least I have some Social Security because I have, worked and let that build up. Now, the oldest one is my sister, Jo, and she worked for Horner Waldorf for a good 10 years, was married twice, widowed both times, and she is still working away, and she's almost 80 years old as a small business owner. Doesn't have any plans to retire immediately. The pandemic almost shut her business down, so she does draw Social Security off that 10 years from Horner Waldorf, but you'd be surprised at how small that looks when you get to retirement age. You'd better have a 401k. You'd better have some other alternate methods of transportation. But right now, I am just enough with my Social Security. For me personally, I won't qualify for low income subsidy or any of the other benefits that they offer. And a big thing right now, since I am a health and life agent, I don't sell any life insurance, but I definitely sell a lot of health insurance. And so you see people, I deal with a lot of people that have no money at all, and they qualify for these great programs and great plans. So it's something to think about. You want to set things up so you don't have a lot of money in retirement, at least reported income. And the way to do that, I had a woman that I worked with this week that was in her 70s and that had a stroke, and she was drawing Social Security early and working. And now, because of the two incomes, she's not going to qualify at least for 2 years for Medicare or Medicaid. But we got her into a plan, but you can't lie on things like that. Extra help comes from Social Security, and if it's any government agency, they'll find you. And now that we have the Affordable Care Act, a lot of people get expanded Medicare in 35 states, and they're on this great plan, and then all of a sudden they go on Medicare, and it's like, oh, bummer. What's this? I have to pay $148.50 for my coverage now? but I only get $1,000 a month. It's a rough spot for a lot of people. They didn't really, it's not their fault. They didn't maybe work the length of time that they should have, but there are those government programs to fall back on. I've had people that ask me, what do people do? How do they live like this? Because get this, she wants to get married at 65. Okay. My sister got married at 58, married her boss from Horner Waldorf. I guess you'd know somebody pretty well after working with them for 10 years. But anyway, this woman wants to get married, but she's on Medicare or Medicaid, excuse me. When she goes on Medicare, there's a real bump in the road. She'll have to pay the 148, and she thinks she's going to find a plan that has a zero copayment to go to the hospital. That's not going to happen. Maybe here in Clark County, we have them, but not for her in New York, because if she gets married, they want to protect the house from long-term care, and she's going to be, it's not going to happen. I just said, don't get married. Then you can keep your Medicaid, because she's only got like $1,000 a month to live on in New York. Come on. It's not really fair across all the states as to what your retirement should be and what they consider federal poverty level. It is kind of standardized, except for Alaska and Hawaii. But the thing to think about is you better have a good mix of Social Security, maybe a 401k. By the time you get to retirement age, you might want to grab that 401k and put it into some sort of an indexed annuity or something where it doesn't get counted as income. Because if you do need long-term care, and this is what Dad always warned us on, most states will take everything you have if you need long-term care. In fact, I spoke with a woman in California. Her name was Maria, and she sounded just like our Maria here. Oddly enough, she had a broken neck and needed long-term care. I didn't know what to say to her. You can't, they'll take your, and she worked for the county or somewhere in California. They'll take your pension. They'll take everything you have, and once you're broken up, some states have what they call a spend down. Once you've spent all your money, then you can get your long-term care. So that's what you really need to be careful of, is not to end up in a nursing home, or at least Medicare pays for 100 days and that's it. But if you're in a situation, I've advised people to maybe hire visiting angels or somebody. My grandmother was so staunch about this that she hired somebody to come in and live with her, because mentally she was all there, but she probably ate too many buckets of ice cream and her ankles were all swollen, and I don't know what else she had as far as physical disabilities. But the better shape you can stay in, exercise of course is good because it'll keep your mind active and going, and people are living much longer and working much longer, so that helps too. Once you reach a specific age, I finally hit the age, ta-da, where I can work and they won't penalize me for Medicare. It's 66 and 2 months for me, but for every year it goes up, and they've raised that since I think people born in 1954 and after. Pretty soon everybody will need to be 67 before you can draw Social Security, and you can get your Medicare at age 65, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start raising that. But it used to be 65 for both. Not so easy now. And some people don't really have enough Social Security income to cover their Medicare. So that's the only thing that worries me is, are we going to be living too long? I thought about it when I went to my uncle's birthday party, Uncle Lowell. He turned 100 years old and I was 62 then. And the thoughts of living for 40 years on $100 or $1,000 a month, I didn't want to try it. So now I've hit the magic age, the golden years. Let's hope I don't end up with a stroke or diabetes or some horrible thing from eating all that ice cream. But yeah, keep working as long as you can, especially if you enjoy your job. Social Security is there, but it's not going to be as, you'll get a statement from them. Go ahead and sign up for an account, mysocialsecurity.gov, and you can see exactly what you'll get, what you've paid in and what will come out. So welcome to retirement. If you're tired, you can kind of retire, but things are not the way they were supposed to be when I was young. You don't just stay at the same corporate job. They all get gobbled up by each other. If I listed all the corporations I've worked for, and sometimes it was just for one job, well, there must be a dozen of them. And right now we're in the middle of another one. eTelequote's been acquired by Ameriprise. So one job, two corporations. When I worked for MGM, it got acquired by Bally's. When I worked for Sahara, it got acquired by Hilton. So there's a double, and Merck Medco, forget it, that was Merck paid prescriptions. There was probably at least 6 different corporate takeovers in that 15-year stint. So that doesn't work so well. You have to feed into Social Security, do the 401k by all means. But another thing to think about, and here's where I really lost, is real estate. If you can set your home and maybe some other assets, that's a great way. With my ex, that's the only thing. He has only gotten $400 a month in Social Security, but he has that house that he sold. So you got to do all of the above if you think you're going to retire, because you're going to get tired. You might get sick, and that's what it's there for. But hopefully you'll have some time and effort to enjoy your life at the end. And it's a little shaky and scary, but you want to live a good one. So make it your best. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. So as far as the podcast goes, I am going to go ahead and put a thing on YouTube and just ask people for, because it's confidential information that I want them to broadcast, but I think they'll do it if it's just a general hum around about these are the jobs that I've had and here's what worked for me and here's what didn't work. But I think everybody needs to look at that and be prepared. I thought I was when I started with Medco, but you don't always know what's going to happen. You could get sick. They could have a takeover and fire you. It's not Social Security is there as a kind of a crutch, but not necessarily the whole core of your retirement. And it kind of is for me, actually. That's why I'm still working, and I'll see how long I last. Thank you again.
Thank you, Peggy. Quit eating the ice cream. That's all I have to say.
Well, it's hot. That's my excuse. It's the only way I can cool off. It's hot in here right now. It's Las Vegas.
Yep. All right, our second speaker is Maria Martinez-Riach, and her evaluator is Peggy Prinz. Peggy, can you tell us Maria's objective?
Yes. Maria's purpose is for her to practice developing a plan, building a team, and fulfilling the plan with the help of his or her team. The purpose of the first speech is for the member to give a short overview of the plan for his or her project. This is a 2 or 3 minute report on the member's plan, and we are to listen for an explanation of what she intends to accomplish, information about the team members, and an organized informational speech. The name of it is Preparing for Hybrid Meetings, and her time is 2 to 3 minutes.
Preparing for a hybrid meeting, Maria Martinez-Riach.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Over a year ago, we faced the challenge of how to continue when it was not possible to meet in person. The Zoom technology came to our rescue, and we learned to meet online. We are now optimistic that we will be able to meet in person again soon. Many of us are looking forward to that, but the way it used to be will no longer be sufficient. We now must learn how to have meetings where members and guests have the option to meet in person or online. One of the pathway projects I need to do is manage projects successfully. And I thought it might be timely and pertinent that I make preparing for hybrid meetings my pathway project. My goal for the project is for the club to be prepared for hybrid meetings when we're able to go back to where we meet at the One Nevada Credit Union. For this project, I need a team, and I've asked George, Cynthia, and Francisca, 3 of our club members, to be my team members. Our team has met once, and the biggest challenges we see are understanding the equipment and internet access we need, who will provide them, who will be the backup, how everything integrates with the Zoom platform, Who will manage the equipment and Zoom during the meetings? Can all the members learn to be Zoom masters? That's a job that requires some planning, not just be impulsive when you come to the meetings. Some of the things we have agreed we need to do are learning what internet access and other technology the credit union might be able to offer to us. Utilize information about hybrid meetings available from Toastmasters International. Visit both in person and online a club or clubs that are already having hybrid meetings. And gain knowledge from our members and very own members who may be attending other hybrid meetings in other clubs that they belong. But we believe that the credit union will be available for us sometime in the fall. It is my goal with this project that when the time comes, our club will be prepared and ready to offer a positive Valley Voices experience to any member or guest attending in person or online. With the help of my team, I am positive we can accomplish this goal. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maria. Can I get a timer's report, Lori, for both of our speakers?
Absolutely, Madam Toastmaster. Peggy's introduction was 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Her speech was 10 minutes and 10 seconds, which qualified for both sections and as a total. Maria's speech was 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and both members qualified.
Thank you, Lori. Can you send your votes for the best speaker to Lori? Let's see. Now comes the part of our meeting where we have our evaluator to evaluate our meeting. Let's welcome George Lynn.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My job today is to evaluate the meeting and then to evaluate the evaluators after they evaluate the speakers. Hopefully I won't be very impulsive today. I have taken some notes, so I think I'm prepared. We started on time this morning. Jennifer introduced the dignitaries. She read the mission of the club, which is why we're here. So it's always a nice reminder to reinforce the reason that we meet on a weekly basis. We talked about the TLI training, and Jennifer was going to follow up to make sure that our officers had either attended or will attend the makeup session. And then she started and introduced a wonderful introduction of our Toastmaster today, although I think she was tooting her own horn, but that's my own personal opinion, which I can give as GE. And it was on splurging. I like the fact that during her minute, she talked about the history of splurging and how it all started. I thought that was very interesting, a lot of history, and kept us on track in terms of what our theme was today. We'll get a Roadmaster grammarian report shortly. I thought the topics today were given right around our subject, and Etta and Lori and Jennifer all answered questions and kept us entertained. We had two very interesting and very different speeches today from Peggy and Maria. So I will ask our first evaluator, who is going to be Maria, evaluating Peggy's speech. Please help me welcome Maria.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, our fellow Toastmasters, our guests, Etta, and especially Peggy. Peggy today was going to show us or talk about the podcast, a podcast that she was going to work on. First, Peggy, I think the subject that you picked was an excellent subject. Some of us in the club are already of retirement age, and some are getting to the point they might be thinking about it. But regardless, it's a subject that is applicable to us all and is so important. And I think you made that very clear in all of your presentations. You chose to talk about the three people that you know, and that I think made it particularly of interest because this is information that it wasn't some unknown person to you and that you just heard about. This was near and dear to your heart. These are your relatives. So you know their stories, you know how they grew up, and you know where they are in life. So very deep understanding of what that is. And then you talked about some of your clients and you encounter, because of where you work, you do encounter difficult situations. You're not working necessarily with the affluent that don't have to worry too much about this. So all of that I thought was excellent and well chosen, and you are very articulate. The one things, and it was, for me, I wasn't clear because I was expecting to hear the 2 or 3 minute introduction and then very clearly see a podcast. And when I think of the podcast, I think of you talking with someone or having a very clear, this is video, I'm recording this video, and I missed that. So I really don't know whether you were presenting a podcast that you had already recorded and are now going to post specifically on the YouTube, or you were just telling us this is what I'm going to do and what I'm going to be recording. That's the part that I got confused. And you talked about your 3 siblings, and then you went on extensively about others. So what I would recommend is, first of all, I don't know if it was me or not, but record the podcast and maybe show us the podcast, the actual recording, and limit your podcast to either your 3 siblings and focus on that, or 1 sibling and some clients. Tighten it up. That's what I want to see, tighten up the presentation so it's more clear for me and maybe others as to what you're really trying to convey, because a lot of the good information you gave, maybe we stopped listening because it was a little bit scattered. But excellent subject. You're a good presenter, definitely very articulate, very engaging. I love listening to you, just like to make it tighter. That would be my suggestion. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Maria. Good job. And now Peggy will be evaluating Maria. Please help me welcome Peggy.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially to Maria. Number one, I want to thank you for taking a project like this on, because I am not clear on how we're going to do this hybrid meeting thing. So it's something that's definitely needed for the club and for Toastmasters in general. I know that there are some clubs that are already meeting on a hybrid basis. And until you gave this speech, I had no idea what to expect. And that's what I thought you excelled at in this speech, as you clearly said the time frame for when the credit union would be reopening. And that was a real plus. That's what I thought that I needed to hear anyway. Somebody needs to get this information out to us, and it's brave for you to take this project on. I don't think it's something that's going to end with this speech. Now, as far as things that you may want to work on, maybe some even counted on your fingers for steps that we need to do. I have to apologize. I wasn't completely tuned in after giving my speech to be on point for evaluating yours. I needed to hear some of the highlights again of the steps that are involved. But as far as challenging yourself, I mean, you're a great speaker, and you're personable, you're warm, and you're very engaging to listen to. But I think this project, we might need to hear it over and over again on what to expect, because I know some people even have problems with finding the correct link to tune into. So I'm interested to see how this is going to unfold as a real life project for Toastmasters. I think it's a more challenging thing than we'll see in this 2 to 3 minute speech, but this is just the first one. So I am excited. I'm interested in how it's going to unfold. So thank you for picking this. It's a big topic, I think, the hybrid meeting. So we look forward to hearing more of it in the future. If you could maybe just use highlights or fingers to point out the who and the what and where, then it would be, it's a simple concept, but it's interesting to see how it's going to unfold in action. Thank you. And it's wonderful to hear news about our hybrid. Curious too. Thanks again.
Thank you, Peggy.
Mhm.
Lori, can we have a timers report for our evaluators?
Mr. General Evaluator, Maria evaluated Peggy's speech for 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and Peggy evaluated Maria's speech for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, both qualified.
We'll send your votes to Peggy, to Lori. Good job today from both of our evaluators. They talked about what the speakers did well and some suggestions on what they did, what they could do to improve. I like the fact that they both talked about their own personal opinion about what they liked. And I thought that was really good in terms of relaying that an evaluator's opinion is really their opinion that may not fit in with someone else who was evaluating silently of a speaker. So good job today. I really like that when you both did your evaluations, you made them personal to the speaker. So I think that's important for the speaker. Could we get a Wordmaster grammarian report if Lori can be a little bit more impulsive today because we're over time?
Nice job.
Get a second speaker and we run over.
Nice job. Let's see. I heard some excellent things. Well, first word of the day counts. Impulsive was a good word. I heard it from almost everyone in multiple uses. Etta used it twice. George used it 3 times I caught. I used it twice. Jennifer used it once. I didn't hear it from Peggy or Maria. Maybe I missed it.
I used it.
I'm sorry, Maria, I missed
Threw it
it.
in there.
But Maria, you had some outstanding word usage. I want to be you someday because you just have some outstanding word usage. Hybrid, integrate, Zoom master, utilized, applicable, affluent. Peggy, you had some good word usage as well. Gobbled, long-term care, brave, personable. A couple, I didn't hear too many filler words from the first part of the meeting. Peggy, I did want to just caution you, in your introduction, you had almost a continuous run-on sentence.
Oh.
So I was just ticking off the filler words. You had some well, but, because, and, so, you knows, come on. It was one continuous run-on sentence.
Okay.
Once you got into the podcast part and introductions of your podcast participants, which by the way was 4 minutes, when you were introducing all of your participants, your siblings and that was 4 minutes of your podcast. Then it wasn't that bad with the filler words. Maria, I didn't catch any fillers from you. You were outstanding. And that concludes the Wordmaster Grammarian Report.
Thank you, Lori. Demonstrated good listening skills today. Thank you very much. That concludes my general evaluation report. I'll return control to our Toastmaster, Jennifer Smith.
Thank you, George. It's so interesting how we had so much time at the beginning and now we have no more time. What a great meeting today. Lori, can you tell us, can you tell us the winners for the speeches, table topics, and evaluation?
I would love to. Our winner for table topics will be bringing us Christmas gifts. Jennifer.
I'll tell you.
On what you guys.
Our best speaker today is Peggy, who will be giving us tips on our retirement.
Eat a bucket of ice cream.
And long-term care options. And our best evaluator today is Maria. Congratulations to all.
I'm starting my list, Jennifer.
Thank you, Lori. That concludes our meeting today. Thank you for participating, everyone. And I will return conduct to the meeting to your president, me. Let's see. I know that we're running short. So are there any comments about our meeting today, Etta?
Just like every week, I enjoy it.
Well, thanks for coming and helping us along. Are there any announcements or brag backs? I will, go ahead, Lori.
Sorry, I have two really quick. I know we're over time, but I did have finally, after 3 months, my appointment with the neurologist this week. And I just love this doctor. Afterwards, I wanted to give him a hug. He is ordering a slew of tests for my migraines, but he started getting pre-approvals on therapy of moving forward from the insurance. And I'm feeling really hopeful for the first time in over a year with this medical condition. So I am really blessed for that. And my other was TLI was awesome. I have some great ideas for
Ready in just a second.
membership.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier when you weren't here.
Yeah, I figured you did, but membership was wonderful. Rose Davis was a fabulous presenter, and she gave us all these downloads, which was probably one of the reasons I couldn't get connected this morning. They were still up on my computer.
Well, good. We will talk about that at our officers meeting.
Next week's schedule?
Correct.
Yes. Next week. How about if I just send it to everybody since we're running so late overtime?
And it's on the website.
And it is on the website.
Yeah, and it is on the
But I'll
website.
just send it out after the meeting and to everybody as a reminder.
Perfect. And then
Maria, I think you're the Toastmaster.
Yeah,
That much I do remember.
Right.
I do have to brag. I did have to do an impromptu speech last week where I was running for second vice president against no one, but I still gave a speech. And I actually rewrote a Bantu speech and put it into that, and they loved it. So that was good. And then the second part is that I actually gave a presentation at the same time with another person that I have never met. We talked on Zoom. So we both did a presentation and everybody loved us and that was good. And that. Thank you, Toastmaster. And everybody knows that I'm a Toastmaster because that was in my bio. So
Where was this at, Jennifer?
this was in Arizona at the American Escrow Association. So
American
credit?
what?
American
Oh.
Escrow, that's what I do.
Oh, Escrow Association, okay.
Oh, okay.
Did you get credit?
I have to figure out how to do that. There's no recording of it, so.
That's okay. Put in a request in Pathways for outside educational credit. Let me know what project you're doing and I'll give you credit.
Okay, all right. Cool. All right,
That
cool.
was one thing that I learned at the Pathways training at TLI. I didn't know you could actually do that and how to do that. So that was very interesting.
I do that all day long, so. All right, guys, great meeting. Sorry we ran over. We had so much time. It was a lot of fun. Maybe, when we're having fun, we forget about how much time we're doing. So anyway, have a great week. See you next week. Officers meeting. I'll send an agenda. She'll send the agenda and we're good.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, you guys.
I'm going to send out the meeting notice